to another episode. We're catching up with you. You just finished off the weekend with a tremendous win at the Challenger Series in Houston, or in Galveston. Yeah, we just wanted to, touch up with you and see how everything was. I know there's some stuff that went on in training camp and some things that you couldn't talk about in the first episode, but today we kind of just want to dig in a little bit and, get in the mind of Elijah Swift-Smith. And one of the things we wanted to ask was, you went through some adversity through training in your camp that you didn't really get to talk about too much. Some things went on. You don't have to get too detailed, but these things played a big factor into how you went into this fight and approached the fight. Yeah, we just wanted to get in the mindset and see.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely getting back from my fight out in Galveston, beat the guy in the third round, rear naked choke. But yeah, like you said, there was some adversity that we had to overcome. Had an LCL sprain. Thought it was worse than what in the beginning, but we did the correct things, rehabbed it, built it up for the fight. Still hurts a little bit, but nothing too crazy. Having tough sparring rounds, just things like that, such as injuries, and then just having that the previous loss replaying your head. Sometimes it could get to you a little bit.
So speaking with some people and some of the guys in your camp, head coach Gilbert Smith, who's your father, obviously, he said he's seen some differences in the way you were approaching some of your past fights to the way you approach this fight. Even your celebration was a lot different than what we're what we're used to seeing on a normal basis.
Yeah, usually, after a fight, especially after a finish, I'm super amped up. I'm like ready to go do a backflip off the cage, do some crazy stuff. But this time, I wasn't gonna do that backflip. I was like, man, if I hurt my knee, we're gonna be in a whole nother realm. But just showing gratitude to my opponents. I mean, this game, anything could happen. It could be your night or it could be the other guy's night. So just sitting there and being able to thank him for the opportunity, thank him for being professional, coming in on time, making weight, doing everything that he needs to do to make sure that this fight was able to be made. So you're nothing without your opponent. So definitely a humbling experience. I've been on the other side. Usually, like I said, I'm the one who's going crazy, doing backflips, really amped up after my fights. But yeah, after my last fight and seeing and being on the other hand of that, it definitely, opens up your eyes, and just being grateful to come out of a fight healthy and victorious is something that you just can't take for granted.
Right. So another thing is that I wanted to get into with you about was in the first episode we spoke about some training partners, some people that you got to work with. One of the things that I didn't get to dig into that I wanted to actually get into was the father-son duel. Now I know not every day is a sunny day. You know what I'm saying? So
definitely not.
Just want to get into the mindset of what it's like, coming up underneath your father and the train as far as the training aspect goes of things, and what it's like, just working with him, and he's the travel partner. He's there every step of the way. What is some of the struggles and some of the adversities you guys kind of?
I think kind of the biggest thing is that we kind of, I don't want to say, I just think we came up in the two different eras of fighting. So sometimes I'm like, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. These guys, they doing something totally different. And he's more like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So just a couple of those, we run into those issues, or especially when I'm in fight mode and cutting weight. Every fighter, they get a little bit more antsy, but we tend to go back and forth on what can work and what doesn't work, or especially with training, I'm like, yo, I'm tired. I don't feel like doing this class. He's like, you should be doing this class. I'm like, already, those type of small things. But I'm really grateful to have him as my dad and as my coach. without him, I don't think we would be in this position. You know, how many people I've been able to meet, how many people I've been, or how many fight promotions I've been able to connect with. He's been a social media guy for all my content. If I need him to message somebody about some business, I always let him know. So I think, you know, we have a good father-son relationship that, you know, a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have. So again, being grateful to have that relationship and have that guidance.
So there is another thing I wanted to ask you. You know, a lot of people that come up underneath their father have these emotions or desires to fulfill those shoes or exceed those expectations. It seems like you don't really live that kind of mantra. It seems like you guys kind of work and collab on a different, doper scale. I don't really see the conflict of you trying to over-exceed. But you know, enough of my opinion on what I think.
Yeah.
What goes through your mind? Do you ever feel like you have to live those shoes?
Nah, not really. I mean, I feel like a lot of people they tend to think like, oh, so and so, like for an example, you know, LeBron and his son, you know, a lot of people they put pressure on you. They put pressure, and I'm like, if it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. You know, I'm just going with the flow, trying to do the right things that I'm supposed to. He's showing me techniques and keeping me prepared, giving me the recipe. Yeah, I never felt any pressure coming into this. Everybody always say like, are you gonna be as good as your dad? I mean, the whole thing is like, we're always trying to be better than what our parents were. So of course, you know, that's what I'm striving for. But like I said, there's no pressure. If it's meant to be, then it's meant to be. So far, we've been on the right track, and yeah, I mean, people can say what they want to say. What I can say though is that me and my dad are two different fighters, you know, really. My dad, he really wasn't a knockout artist. He was more of a specialist, jiu-jitsu guy, wrestler. I do wrestle. I have wrestled, especially in this last fight. I did showcase that ability, but definitely, I think, you know, the hands is what I really like to show. But showing that I'm you know, growing and I'm expanding in different areas of the fight game.
So another thing, with your team, I know that like you've traveled to get some work from various different places. My apologies. And but let's talk about home. Let's talk about Victory itself. Let's talk about the guys at Victory, the people that give you the work. You know, you've reached a certain level and pedigree in your amateur career, and then some things happen. So, you know, people come and go. That's the gym life.
Yeah.
But you've always stuck around, and you've always been solid to your squad. So I just want to kind of get some insight on what it's like training at Victory. What is the training regimens like? You know, how intense does it get?
Yeah, the gym, I mean, Victory MMA, I mean, that's home. That's home for me, and it's intense almost every day. You know, it's as tense as you want to make it. You know, that's kind of how I see it. You know, we have a lot of guys that are coming up as well. Just like what you said, we have guys coming and going. You know, we're in Colorado Springs, so we're a military town. So people always coming in, getting deployed, leaving. Yeah, it's just part of the game. But being able to work with what you got, that's something that my dad has always been trying to tell me. You know, we just got to work with what we got, you know, and if we have to travel, we'll travel a little bit and to go get what we're looking for. But for the most part, everything is all here for the knowledge. I mean, if I need hard sparring rounds and say the guys aren't, you know, at that level, then cool. Then we're gonna have a fresh guy each round, different round. We'll have a guy who's good at striking for the first round. We'll have a guy for the second round who's good at wrestling, and then we have a guy who can mix it in with both. And yeah, that's how we do it. I mean, nobody said this was gonna be an easy path to take, but you know, you just got to take what's given to you. And you just go with the flow, man. Go with the flow, and all you can do is just worry about how hard you work. You know, you go out there. There's guys who train with top contenders, champions. But what makes them different from the champions? You tell me.
So another thing, in the first episode, we spoke about family. And we obviously know if there's a lot of people that follow your journey, they know, your highs and your lows, somewhat of the lows. But we've got to watch you thrive in the cage as an athlete. We got to watch your journey as an artist in that mixed martial arts world. Now, I kind of just want to take it out of the fight context for a second and ask you about family. You have a daughter, you have a fiance, you have a lot of things going for yourself. Outside the cage, how do you maintain this kind of energy, this kind of responsibility to your career and still manage outside that realm as far as family goes?
Yeah, for family, I mean, yeah, just like what you said, I have my daughter, have my soon-to-be fiance here soon. She keep acting, no, just like, but yeah, and I have my sisters. I have 2 older sisters, my mother, my father, my grandmother. Yeah, I think, one thing that I didn't tell anybody that kind of motivated me really a lot was my daughter. She watched my last fight, the Junior Cortez, and she, when I got home and, as time passed by, and she'll bring up the fight, she's like, "Daddy, I was watching you," and what she told me, she was like, "I told you, Daddy, not to don't let him hit you," and I sat back and I was like, I promise I won't let that happen again. That motivated me to like, okay, you right. I got you. I got you. We gonna work on that. So yeah, my daughter, yeah, she's definitely my #1 motivation, and then my support system, my girlfriend, my father, my sisters. They haven't missed a fight. It's crazy. It's crazy. None of my grandparents, my grandfather who's out in Jersey. All my family out in Jersey, they haven't missed a fight. Every time I have a fight, it's like, it feels like a holiday. Like it really does. It really does feel like a holiday when I fight, for me. Because everybody's there for the celebration, and everybody's there to, push comes to shove, win, lose, or draw. They're always there to comfort me and support me through it, telling me that I got it. Yeah, family is everything to me, and it's not just, my family, but the gym. The gym is my family too. How many people that I can go up to and call them my brother? We might not be blood brothers, but I know I can always hit them up and, hey, yo, like, you mind if we, go on a run, or you trying to go to the incline, or you trying to come to the gym a little early, lift. I know all of my guys, like, they're always there. I can always count on them, and yeah, that's something big. There's something big to always have that support system around you, especially in the fight game. Because when you get into the cage, it's only you, yourself, and your thoughts, and of course your opponent, the ref, and that's it. It's you against the world. That's what it feels like when you get into the cage.
So I have one more question for you, and it just goes back to the fight before this fight, the Junior Cortez fight. What are some of the key takeaways you take away from that fight, and what are some of the things you learned in that fight about yourself as a person?
Oh man, key takeaways from that fight. Key takeaways is just one, experience. That's #1. And I'm gonna reiterate on that for experience, like knowing that there's still room for me to grow. There's still things out there that I don't know. Like I said before, when you're riding on that high horse and you're winning so much, you tend to think like, what else I gotta learn? I'm blowing through these guys with ease. Like it's like I can do this in my sleep. But knowing that you go against another tough guy who's been there, who's done that, now you start to think like, okay, what is it that I need? What holes do I have in my game? So that is the major key that I took away from that fight. And then as a person, man, it just slowed me down a little bit, like humbled me. It was, yeah, I got humbled. I guess you can say that. Yeah, I got humbled. And knowing how many, just being able to see like myself on when Junior Cortez fought on the Contender Series and they replayed that highlight, it shows like, damn, like how many times I've done that to people. Like I made somebody else to a highlight. Like it can happen to you. So I mean, yeah, just being able to keep going with the flow and learn from that fight. And really, I mean, all the guys that I fought, they all been really respectful, follow each other on IG, chat here and there. Yeah, that's the beauty about the fight game, man. There's some guys who are gonna be like, you really hate, and then there's some guys that you fight and you like, yo, like I really like what you're doing, and I want to be able to mix some of the stuff that you're able to do to me into my game, so I can grow from that.
So, you've never really came across as a person who wears your heart on your sleeve too much. But I want to say within the last 3 fights, we've got to see a different person emerge. I want to say within this fight camp and a lot of things you went through, you've experienced some emotions, and you've even spoken about it during your post-fight interview in the cage. You said, not verbatimly, but you did talk about depression. You did talk about a lot of things like that you were speaking on. And even in the last episode when we sat down with you, you spoke about things, you kind of touched on some of those things. And you even seemed to get emotional after you won that fight. What was you feeling? What were these emotions that you're experiencing, these new learning curves and things of that nature?
Yeah, it's like you feel like you're the man and you take a loss, and it kind of it's so crazy because I understand, you know, it was only one loss, but geez, like it just felt like I had to live with that for, you know, however months until this next fight came up, and seeing other guys going out there and fighting and getting wins, even your past opponents. It feels like somebody's getting a step ahead of you, and to me that's like, I don't want nobody to get a step ahead. And then, you know, you go into fight camp and you get hurt, you have some tough rounds, you get rocked in fight camp, and you're like, dude, what am I doing wrong? Am I still that guy? Then you have that pressure building up. Like, people know me. When I first got into MMA, people knew me as like, oh, my first fight, I beat the guy in 15 seconds. Second fight, I beat the guy in 7 seconds. So people already knew what to expect when I was fighting. But I felt like after that loss, it was like, I feel like people kind of forgot who I was. And it was like, damn, you know, I always had that support system and everything, but it just felt a little off. Like I don't know, I didn't really feel like myself. I didn't fully believe in myself. There was times like I almost didn't want to fight this fight. Like I was like, I'm not there. I don't know if if I would even want to fight again. Yeah, just going through it, man. Just going through it. And then not just with fighting, with life, you know, outside with your, you know. It was a lot. It was a lot put into this. It was a lot, and that's why I got so emotional after the fight, because, man, it's crazy. It's so fast once you think about after a fight. You know, it's 3 5-minute rounds, and after that it's just like, damn, like it's over with. You have all that pressure, all that stress that was on your shoulders after a fight to go out there and win. It's just like taking off, and it feels like now you can sit back and breathe properly. Now you can sit back and enjoy life again. Like, a lot of people don't understand, like, fighting is so stressful, man. It's stressful. Like, if you're not strong-minded, it'll break you. It'll break you in half. Especially when you're hearing the crowd booing you. You're not at home. You're away. You know, a lot of people expect you. I never had a lot of like big pressure, but a lot of people put pressure on themselves, and sometimes that can hurt you. And I think that's what I was doing. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself. I was scared. There was no other way to put it. A lot of people are scared to say that they're scared. I'm scared, yeah, I was scared. I was scared. To go 2-2, to me, that's like, damn. Again, am I still that guy? But I think that's what kept me motivated. I know I can't go 2-2. I know I can't start off my pro career like that. I know I couldn't. I'm better than that. So just mentally trying to stay in it. Have my dad by my side, my girlfriend, my boy Alonzo telling me throughout this whole fight camp, even cutting weight, like, bro, you looking good, you looking sharp. Like, sometimes that's all I need to hear. That's all I need to hear.
So you coming out on top with this win, where does that put Elijah right now? Because there's a lot of talks right now, and obviously we know that was the last pro fight that you had underneath the Fury banner. Obviously, there's still talks to get you back right in there with no issues.
Yeah.
But what's next for Elijah? Where do we go from here?
Put it this way, I'm 3-1 right now, currently. You give me 3 fights, 3 good fights, and I win 3 fights in a row. That would make it a 4-fight win streak. I would improve to 6-1. With my management team, shout out to Iridium, Jason. They have connections to the Dana White Contender Series. Saying that, everything goes good, that's what we're gunning for. In Fury, they have that notoriety to get me to that level. So we're thinking about, they're on our high list to re-sign, why not? But we're still in talks and trying to figure out everything else. But first things first, make sure, I give my body a little bit of time to heal up. Not necessarily from the fight, but from injuries from before the fight, like my knee. Hopefully we get back in there around December or maybe February, whichever makes the most sense, and start getting back on this win streak. Like I said, 6-1. That'd be a good record to put my name on the map. And yeah, I always told myself, like, Victory MMA. We're not a Factory X. We're not a Team Alpha Male. We're not an AKA. We're not a big gym. But me, I feel like I just need, just one person just needs to make it, and watch how big this gym grows. And I believe it. And I believe I'm that guy. So y'all keep riding with me. Y'all keep riding with me. Man, I had to get back on the camera because I thought one thing that I wanted to mention is that, for up and coming fighters, man, a lot of people, they think like they don't have to film study, they don't have to look at their opponents and stuff like that. It's very important to know who you're fighting, know what their tendencies are. Do your research on your fighters. Really do your research on your fighters. For me, I look at their YouTube. I find all their fights. I find their Facebook. I find their Instagram. I see who their girlfriend is, who their mother is. I'm like really doing some like detective work to find out, who am I fighting? Who is this guy? What do I need to do to prepare for this guy? It's so crazy how many fights do I have to keep fighting? And people are like, oh man, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect Elijah, he can wrestle. You ain't do your research, man. It's all right there. And not only looking at your fighter, but analyze yourself, and not analyze your last fight. Look at your last fight. Would you be able to beat the last guy that you fought? And I'm not talking about your opponent. I'm talking about yourself. Would you be able to beat yourself? That's something, that's when growth happens. When you're able to really analyze yourself and see like what's something that I would have caught myself with. Like, how do I game plan against myself? I think that's something that we did really good this fight camp is we didn't just look at his film, we also looked at my film. And we picked out a couple of things that I would do if I was getting ready to fight me. And we put it all together and see what would happen.
We seen that in full display in the first episode when you did the mock walkout.
Yeah.
Like that was super dope to see and to put yourself in that position. And one of the things you said when you came back was that actually played a part.
That played a huge part. It played. I want to keep continuing. I want to continue to do that. Just giving you that sense of urgency, and already it gets your brain thinking. Like, it gives you a good feel of what to expect. You know, that's like I said, that's something that all these up and coming fighters should be doing. Either pro, amateur. Definitely amateur. The earlier you start, the better. You know, the more you get used to it. You know, don't get me wrong. The nerves are always going to be there. They ain't going anywhere. But for you to mentally prepare for that, mentally and physically prepare for that, that's big, man. So if you play football, I grew up playing football. I was always big into film study and studying my opponent. So yeah, do your homework, man. Do your homework. Always make sure you do your homework. Shout out school, education.